Chances are that during your youth, you'd watch children's TV of some form or another. The many shows being fronted by a revolving door of friendly faces sporting saccharine smiles. You'd be forgiven for thinking that once the cameras stopped recording, they'd all return to the same house, living like a modern-day Brady Bunch. The truth of it is, though, is that they're no different to you or I, and as such are just as susceptible to vice and tragedy. Such was the case with children's TV presenter Mark Speight, whose life away from colourful studio backdrops tragically spiralled into darkness. Mark was born in the sleepy village of Seisden, Staffordshire in 1965, but grew up in Tettenhall, Wolverhampton. During his youth, he found school life difficult. He had a short attention span and was constantly bullied. He did his best to overcome these setbacks, becoming the class clown in order to deflect or deter the bullies. He also found that he excelled in art, using it as a conduit for expressing himself. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Mark would later go on to attend art school, where he studied for a degree in commercial and graphic art. Things went much smoother there, and Mark left with his heart set on becoming a cartoonist. This dream would change on the set of a television production in 1994, however. Mark had been hired to paint the set, but while there, he was informed that they were holding an audition for presenters to helm a new children's art show. He went along, and with his artistic background and big personality, Mark was chosen along with fellow artist Jay Burridge and a fresh-faced Zoe Ball. The show they would be helming was the BBC children's art show Smart. The network already had a long history of creating programmes for children focusing on art and creativity. These include Vision On, Take Heart and Heartbeat, all fronted by the wholesome and family-friendly Tony Hart. They also had art shows hosted by Rolf Harris, but the less said about that, the better. The problem with these shows, other than the obvious in regards to those featuring Harris, was that they had become stale. A few channels across, they could see that ITV were having great success with their fresh approach in the form of their new series, Art Attack. Smart would be the BBC's response, and it was received well, being nominated for several awards. Despite the career change, Speight took to presenting like a duck to water and struck up a strong friendship with his co-host Jay Burridge, whose studio the show was also largely shot in. Mark's energy and enthusiasm for creativity struck a strong chord with viewers of all ages, and his affable demeanour soon saw his fledgling TV career begin to flourish. Over the following years, he would go on to not only present other shows for children, but also those aimed at a more general audience, ranging from programs about religion and faith to documentaries on Africa, and even a part-time slot on daytime TV. Children's TV is where his heart remained, however, and it would be there that he would meet the other ill-fated person of this story, Natasha Collins. Natasha was an aspiring model and actor who had appeared in a handful of TV shows before landing the roles C on the children's game show See It, Saw It. On the show, Mark played the king of much jollity on the mirth, with Natasha being one of his court jesters. In 2001, their careers were on the up, and to top things off, Natasha had just landed a role in the long-running Channel 4 drama series Hollyoaks. Then, on the same day that she found out, she was involved in a serious car accident which left her in a coma. She would eventually come round and make a recovery, but the accident had left her suffering from seizures. But trying to turn a negative into a positive, she planned to use compensation money from the crash to set up her own production company. The accident meant that Natasha gave up her role on See It, Saw It, but she and Mark stayed in touch, and in 2003, the pair started a relationship, getting engaged in 2005. Despite their setbacks, the pair remained strong, and Mark's career went from strength to strength. He became a spokesperson for the children's charity Childline and also raised money to help combat muscular dystrophy. Alongside this, he also toured the country with his Speight of the Art children's art workshops, helping to inspire a new generation of artists. Despite the future looking bright for the pair, a dire chain of events would have devastating consequences. On the night of January the 2nd, the pair were partying at their St John's Wood flat in North London. They had been drinking wine and vodka, but they had also taken cocaine and sleeping pills. At some point during the night, Mark went to bed, but Natasha decided to run herself a bath. Nothing out of the ordinary, but it would be a choice that would prove fatal. Mark awoke sometime the following afternoon to find the bathwater still running and Natasha unresponsive. It's believed a heart problem exacerbated by the cocaine, sleeping pills and vodka had caused her to fall unconscious with the hot tap running, leading to her receiving 60% burns to her body and passing away. Mark contacted the police and was initially arrested on suspicion of murder and supplying Class A drugs, though the police would later drop their interest in him. The BBC were airing repeats of Smart at the time, but soon cancelled these when the news got out. On February 28th, Speight announced he was quitting the show because of the tragic loss of Natasha. Following her death, Mark fell into a deep depression. He moved in with Natasha's mother, with the pair trying to help each other come to terms with what had happened. His Smart co-presenter, Jay Burridge, had already left the show by this stage, but stayed close friends with Mark, and he, along with other friends and family, tried hard to help him through this difficult time. Sadly, Mark would put himself beyond their help in April of that year. On the 7th, Mark was dropped off at Wood Green Tube Station and had arranged to meet with Natasha's mother for coffee in Covent Garden later that day. Mark didn't turn up to the arranged meeting, and the next day he was reported missing. It then came to light that 2 police officers had spoken to him as he had appeared vacant and distracted, but he refused their help. He was captured on CCTV withdrawing cash from an ATM at Queen's Park Station before boarding a southbound Bakerloo Line train. Mark's parents and Natasha's mother made an appeal urging him to make contact, but it was to no avail. On April the 13th, Mark's body was found on the roof of Macmillan House, an office building adjacent to Paddington train station. Police believed he climbed a wall and made his way to an out-of-the-way spot before taking his own life. His death was reported by one of his good friends and co-presenters, Kirsten O'Brien, on the children's news programme Newsround. She has since gone on to say how difficult this was. The show itself received complaints from angry parents as, despite not mentioning suicide, the news of Mark's death obviously caused great upset for the many youngsters who he had dedicated much of his life to teaching and entertaining. Mark left 2 notes behind wherein he stated that he felt he couldn't go on without Natasha, his soulmate and best friend. His funeral was held on April the 28th, 2008, with hundreds in attendance. His father later set up the Speight of the Art Foundation, a charity that supports the arts in Mark's honour. In the years since his passing, conspiracy theories have arisen around the circumstances leading to Mark's death, but they're not worth airing here. In his life, Mark inspired and entertained many young artists and was a good friend to those around him. But a series of unfortunate events led to what should have been a bright life being tragically cut short. If you're watching this and are currently in a dark place, please know that you are not alone and that help is out there. If you feel you can't open up to those around you, consider contacting one of the services on screen now. They are there to help. Until next time, friends, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.